Hi, I'm Alyshah,
I'm Adam.
and this is
The Sibling Connection. So today we're reviewing The Incredible Hulk, which is the second movie in the MCU.
Yeah.
And it was a really good movie, I thought. It was great to get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it in a long time. And, going back and realizing that this was made just like Iron Man in 2008. You could definitely see like some visual effects and consistencies, but it was generally speaking a really good movie. And so starting from the beginning, some things that really stood out. There's a new actor, an old actor playing Bruce Banner, Edward Norton, and the opening credits are really good. I thought, just setting the pace, letting us know what's happened in the past, and then getting us right into the story.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
And really appreciated. Because, you're in a Hulk movie, you want to get to the action.
Yeah.
So getting past all the exposition in such a cool and amazing way was really appreciated. And, so the movie starts. Bruce Banner is in Brazil.
Yeah.
He hasn't turned into the Hulk in a long time. And he's working at a pop
Yeah,
factory?
it's like a pop bottling company.
Yeah, pop bottling factory in Brazil. And he's just trying to keep a low profile.
Yeah.
The American military under General Ross is looking for him because the military believes that the Hulk is proprietary property of the military.
Yeah.
And they're trying to reproduce the Hulk into like super soldiers and things for the military.
Right.
So Bruce Banner is obviously trying to hide away from the military because he realizes that the monster inside him is just that, a monster.
Right.
And can't be controlled.
Right.
So instead of giving it or allowing himself to be taken and having it removed from him, he's trying to destroy it.
Right.
And he's having a really hard time doing that.
Yeah.
So what's been going on in Brazil is that he has been communicating through encrypted video calls or messaging.
Messaging, yeah.
With somebody named Mr. Blue.
Yes.
He's been sending him blood samples and all that sort of stuff, trying to realize a cure for that level of gamma poisoning.
Right.
And obviously nothing's working. So they realize that Bruce has left his research back home.
Yeah.
So that's basically where the story needs to go. And to get there, we get through a bunch of awesome action scenes.
It was really good.
We get to see the Hulk for the first time, which was amazing. And we get introduced to Emil Blonsky.
Yes, we do.
And he is a very interesting character.
Very complicated character.
Very power-hungry character.
Yes.
And just getting an introduction to these characters, to Dr. Ross, Betty, to General Ross.
Yeah.
It's just nostalgia, which I appreciate and really well done. So then, the Hulk appears. Bruce rages out in the bottling factory. And there's a huge fight between the American military, led by Blonsky and General Ross, and the Hulk.
Yes.
And that was a great scene.
Yeah.
Right. And and then the story just progresses from there on an even keel. I think it was amazing throughout.
Yeah, I think it was great for a 2008 movie. I mean, I think there were a lot of things they had to perfect for the Hulk, right? Like the actual beast, the Hulk. So for example, in one of the fight scenes, you see the Hulk and Betty, his love interest, or Bruce Banner's love interest, is right beside him. And they're probably, a head or two, like the Hulk is probably a head or two taller than Betty. Not much different. I think there are certain things that they had to perfect over the course of the MCU. But this was a great starting movie. The characters are they're very complex. They're very interesting characters that you get to see over and over again. Like they're bringing back General Ross. We haven't seen Betty since this movie, which is really unfortunate, but you see the Abomination again and again throughout the movies, throughout the MCU, and even they've brought them back in the TV shows, like the Disney Plus TV shows, if I'm not mistaken. So there's enough substance there with the characters that they can continue their storylines over and over again, which is always good because you never want them to fizzle out, right? And you don't want them to be cheap and kind of flimsy characters. You want them to have really strong bases. I would say I was really disappointed that we haven't seen more of the Bruce and Betty storyline. That's just the romantic in me, but I think there's a lot there that we could have also started to unfold that they haven't yet. So what would you say was the most interesting thing that you don't even remember? Like I haven't watched this movie for a very, very long time. I don't even know if I've rewatched it since it came out. So for me, it was just reliving all of this again, and I had completely forgotten that it was a completely different actor. Like that was my shock factor. I remember at one point I turned to you and I said, "Oh, is he like a doctor or a scientist or something?" When he was drawing his own blood, and you said, "Alyshah, it's Bruce Banner." And you don't even, for me, it took me a minute to kind of connect that those two actors were playing the same character. So, is there something that you kind of were shocked at rewatching or nostalgic or?
Well, for me, it was seeing the interconnectivity of the MCU starting to unfold. So even though this was only the second MCU movie behind Iron Man, you started to see some of those Easter eggs put into the movie. So you saw when Bruce Banner sort of plugs in a USB thing into a computer, when the military was cracking down on his communications with Mr. Blue, you saw that it actually took him into when they delved into the actual inner workings of the computer, the graphic that they showed, it actually took them to the Shield database, where they were actually, connecting sort of like their correspondence and everything, and they got a match. So definitely Shield comes into a huge part of the story, like later on in the movies, right? And obviously the post-credit scene,
Yes.
where Iron Man comes in and talks to General Ross and says they're putting together a team.
Yeah.
And obviously that's the beginning of, one of the most amazing sort of movies.
Yeah, iconic.
Yeah, of like definitely pop culture to that point, right? Like the Avengers. So yeah, definitely watching from the beginning and seeing the stepping stones and the building blocks that are putting together what we know and love to this day.
Yeah.
Definitely something that really blew me away.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And I think that was one of the details that I missed. So that was great that you brought that up. But agreed, even just knowing now where this storyline is going, it makes me feel really giddy and excited to see the next movie and the next movie and the next movie, and really put everything together, because there's so much content that a 2-hour movie had and will continue to have and expand. What I will say is I think this actor did an amazing job bringing the audience to love and root for the Hulk. I don't think they explain how, like, they explain how he became the Hulk, but they don't explain why the experiment started, I don't think, or why he was the reason or the one that they did it on.
No, I think they did discuss a little bit. I think it was just a passing remark by General Ross.
Yeah.
Really just saying that they were trying to do experiments regarding the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
And they obviously didn't tell Bruce about it. So Bruce thought they were actually researching something completely separate.
Okay.
So he actually did the experiment on himself to prove his thesis.
Okay.
And it went completely wrong.
Right.
So that's the story that they're going with in the MCU.
Okay.
Obviously, in the comics, it's a completely different thing,
Yeah.
but I think they just brought it up to modern standards.
Yeah, because they do, like, General Ross makes like a passing remark to Emil Blonsky, who later becomes the Abomination, that Bruce Banner is not up to par with who they would hope was, a super soldier. He was just a scientist. He wasn't actually a soldier. And I think you see that quite a bit, the difference between the Hulk and the Abomination in terms of their speed, their strength, their size. Right, Emil Blonsky was a soldier. He had been for his entire life. I think he said that he was like 39 years old or something in the movie. And so he spent his entire career as a soldier, as a foot soldier, as a fighter, he called himself. Then he turns into a super soldier. Then they shoot him again with Bruce Banner's blood, I believe, or when they extracted his blood into Emil Blonsky, and he becomes the Abomination. And the size difference, the power, completely different. So I think the only thing the Hulk had going for him was his love for Dr. Ross.
But also his rage. And you can tell that as the fight continued, he got stronger.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's the power of the Hulk. As he gets angrier, he gets stronger. So at the beginning, obviously the Abomination outclasses the Hulk, but that's because Blonsky had 2 doses of super soldier serum.
Yeah, of course.
Plus the Hulk's power, right? So, but the Hulk is a creature of rage. So you can outclass him in the beginning, but eventually he's going to overcome you. And that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that the MCU still struggles with, how to handle the Hulk, the power of the Hulk.
Yeah.
Because there's very few people who can actually defeat the Hulk in a one-on-one sort of battle. So what they've done now is turn him into Smart Hulk. So he doesn't have the same power.
Yeah.
Right? So he can be defeated.
Yeah.
But when he is the
rage.
rage Hulk, what do you actually do with him to create a story? How do you build a story around somebody who can't be defeated?
I mean, I think the same could be said for Thor, and we'll get there when we get there. But I think they did kind of the same thing because they had to be able to bring a villain that was able to give them a good match, and Hulk and Thor, they're amongst one of the most powerful creatures in that universe, and so unless you kind of bring them down to human standard, it's really difficult to give them a really good match, right? Interesting. I wonder if you would rate this movie as high as you did for Iron Man.
Well, out of 5, I'd give it a 4.25.
Wow.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed it. I think if you're looking at it from today's standards, you can see, there's definitely things to work on. But if you look at it from, the thing that it is, which is the building block of the actual MCU, in which we're continuing to see movies and the universe continue to build.
Yeah.
Based off of the shoulders of Iron Man and the Hulk. I think you can see that it's definitely something that's held up to this day even. And the action sequences were good. I really enjoyed the Hulk. Seeing him, actually become the Hulk.
Yeah.
But also just seeing his rage and seeing his power and, seeing what they did do in this movie and what they can do if they ever revisit the character in his own movie going forward. And seeing that there are characters in this movie that can definitely be explored in the future.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Blue, for example. Right? Like,
yes,
he can definitely come back and be an interesting character because he has the Hulk's blood in his head.
Yes.
I think that will be interesting. Like, I don't know what character he would become, but that would be an interesting...
Kind of looked like Mastermind at the end.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they're going to go with. Probably somebody who's, like, super smart.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then Betty.
Yeah.
Like, I'm I heard rumors that Betty would come back into the MCU.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to that and seeing her reintroduction to the Hulk.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely
That'd be so
something
sweet.
something interesting, like something to revisit. What is it, like 15 years later?
Yeah, that's insane.
So yeah, definitely a lot to revisit and a lot to build on from a movie that's 15 years old.
Yeah.
And I think that just goes to show how amazing this movie was.
Yeah.
And that there is actually an interest in building off of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd probably rate it a 4 out of 5. I completely echo what you say, or what you've said, Adam. I think the characters are really strong. They're really deep. There's a lot of material in there that they can continue to explore. A lot of those characters they haven't touched since this movie, right? So they still have a lot of material that they can go back on. Nostalgia wise, it's sometimes difficult to reconcile that he is the same Bruce Banner that we know now and love. And I think that from a visual standpoint, like the fight scenes were awesome. They kept us entertained the whole way through. You were kind of on the edge of your seat, very giddy, very much rooting for Bruce the entire movie. But I mean, it is 15 years old. Disney and Marvel has learned a lot from that last 15 years, and they've kind of put that through and made bigger and better movies. But all of those lessons have come from Iron Man and the Hulk and these really early on movies. So I think it's really important to realize how important these movies were as stepping stones for the MCU that we now know and love. I do want to say that I think I love the way that they ended the movie, where the entire movie was Bruce trying to get rid of the Hulk, right? And at the end of the movie, it's basically, how do I control him? How do I learn about him? And that's kind of what you continue to see Bruce doing throughout the entire MCU. Right up until the last movie, he's still trying to learn about him. He's still trying to control him. It's not about getting rid of him anymore. It's more about, how do I make this part of my life? And how do I use this to my advantage the next time I need it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, really, really appreciate you guys tuning in. Let us know if you liked the video. Put any comments, questions, or concerns that you have in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Bye.